because as I thought about the families who would gather here today, radiating happiness and love as you all are, I thought of beavers. The American beaver, Castor canadensis, being compared to a giant rodent may not appeal to everyone, but it's really a compliment. I'm quite sure that beavers have very loving families. I know that beavers have loving families because one summer evening at dusk, my husband and I were paddling a canoe along a river. Our then 3-year-old son was asleep in my lap. We snuck up to a beaver lodge just after seeing an adult beaver disappear into it. From inside, we could hear the family's conversation, the squeaks and whines and high-pitched grunts of babies, the purring grunts and groans of the parents. I'm a parent too. I know what those sounds mean. So we have this loving family snug in their lodge, the parents who are monogamous and made for life, their year-old children who have started to help with the chores, and the fuzzy little potato-sized babies. The kiddos wrestle and play, sometimes squabbling over the choicest leaves and tubers. They all groom each other and touch noses. It's a sweet, cozy life. At about age 2, something changes for the young beaver, though. His little brothers and sisters are now a year old and annoying. The newest babies take all of my attention. He begins to feel hemmed in. Close-knit family life begins to chafe. The lodge is awfully dark and musty. His parents always do the wrong thing. The pond is so boring. It becomes more and more unbearable until one day he hauls himself out of the pond and trudges off, hiking away from the only home he's ever had. In fact, the only place he has ever been, in search of running water and tasty trees, a place of his own. Population biologists call this process dispersal. It's a phenomenon shared not just by American beavers, not just by mammals, but in some way or another by most living things the world over. It's what these guys are in the process of doing right now. It's how populations expand into new territory, finding new resources. It's how organisms avoid mating with their close relatives. It's a big deal. Whether you're the seed from a cottonwood tree carried off by the wind, the young beaver damming a mountain stream to form a pond of your own, or the high school graduate stepping into the unknown frontier of adult life. Seniors, soon to be graduates, we have kept you in our cozy Oliverian lodge long enough. We have loved you for who you are at the very same time that you were figuring that out. We have taught you what we can about how to learn and take care of yourselves and live in community. Joshua may have even taught you how to cut down a tree without getting pinned beneath it, an all-important beaver skill. And so now you're ready to leave our safe pond, and you will set out in search of running water and tasty trees of your own. You may feel afraid and uncertain, but you are guided by deep knowledge, older than human history. You are driven by the stirrings of your animal soul. This dispersal journey that is uniquely yours also bonds you to much of life on Earth. You are ready for this journey, dear graduates. Trust yourselves, adventure well, work hard, love deeply, and come back to visit us from time to time. We'll keep the lodge dry for you. Congratulations.
I want to wish a warm welcome to our graduates and their fans. Thank you all for coming to celebrate this monumental achievement. Graduates, please humor me. Take a minute to bask in the fact that you did it. You reached a huge milestone after years of hard work, sweat, and tears. When But now to the hard part for me and the easy part for you. I've asked you all at some point or another to do something difficult, so it is only fair that you all ask the same of me right now in being your speaker. I am deeply honored that you've chosen me for this duty, and yet I almost wish it had not happened in my time, but here we are. I really didn't want to deliver this speech, so I won't. I'm joking. But I did really struggle with this task. I had trouble finding the right words, and I procrastinated with no hope of an extension. Now, you all get to sit back and listen as I share my work with the rest of the class. As a history teacher, I am often concerned with the topic of time. I'm constantly asking students questions like, when did some event take place? How long did some trend endure? When did this king rule, etc.? But history is about so much more than memorizing dates like when the Battle of Hastings took place. It is about understanding larger topics in the context of time. Studying history is not a way of trying to live in the past, but a way to think about how our present came to be and how we want the future to look. As you look to your future, class of 2025, I want you to look to the past so you can think critically about what kind of future you want to live in. The world as it is now is not how it will always be, and your generation holds the power to change it. Time is not just a topic that lives in my classroom, though. It has a funny way of bleeding into the rest of the school day, too. I often say, time and place, to remind students that the school building may not be the appropriate venue for certain conversations. I am known to routinely cajole students to get to class on time. You can't learn if you aren't there, and I think that applies beyond the classroom. In life, you need to be there, be present in every sense. To me, being present means forgetting the worries about the future and the mistakes of the past. It means taking in only what is around you and relishing in it. Spring is a fantastic period to take your time and be present. The world comes alive again, and if you blink, you might miss the first crocus of spring, or a hummingbird surprising you as you sit on your porch, or the baby bears on Iron Mountain climbing up a tree after their mother. These simple joys are vital. They are moments to slow down and recalibrate ourselves. Slowing down is one of the most radical ways to fight back against our current way of living. You do not always need to be productive in our economy in order for your life to have value. It may sound easy, but being present is incredibly difficult. Our modern lives often have us rushing, not experiencing the simple pleasures around us. We have devices in our pockets that are constantly pulling our attention away from the here and now, tantalizing us with what could be. Videos and content on social media bombard us, force us to compare our lives to others, and ask ourselves if we are using our time wisely. These technologies have been designed to steal your time and attention. Do not let them win. They capitalize on the powerful emotions of fear and anxiety. Our everyday fears and anxieties are often rooted in time, worrying about what the future holds or perseverating over past mistakes. We begin to question ourselves. Will I have enough time? Will I be on time? When was that due? As a historian, I do sometimes look at the wisdom of the past for answers to my present worries. For me, the ancient philosophy of Stoicism provides a ballast in these unstable times. While we use the word stoic today to describe people who don't show a lot of strong feelings, that does not get at the heart of what Stoicism is actually about. Stoicism began as an ancient Greek philosophy that became especially popular in the Roman era. While the Stoics did urge people to use reason and keep their emotions in check, Stoicism is about much more than that. The school of philosophy teaches that in order to live a virtuous life, humans must turn away from external factors like wealth and passing trends and look inwardly. In these turbulent times, it is important to listen to our inner voices and ignore the many distractions that the world provides. One of the most famous Stoics was the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. His personal writings that he left behind are known as his Meditations. I appreciate this book because it was not meant to be published. It was more of a diary that recorded his thoughts on Stoicism in life. He is not trying to convince the reader of anything because he did not anticipate an audience for his work. In his Meditations, he offers some Stoic wisdom that I think can help guide you all as you set out into the world. He writes, "Do not act as if you would live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." And to me, there are two distinct takeaways from this quotation. You aren't living forever, and you need to be good, whatever that means. As to that first bit, I know talking about death in a graduation speech may come across as rather bleak, but hear me out. Life is precious because it is limited, and you don't know exactly how much time you have left. So how do you make the most of it? How do you find this elusive good? Epictetus, another famous Stoic, is credited with saying, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." Well, if it were that easy, no one would ever buy a self-help book again. In order to figure out what matters to you internally, graduates, you need to get life experience in the outside world first. Say yes as much as possible. It is easy to say no to the unknown, to the things that scare us. But the only way to find out what you are good at is to try everything. You are going to be bad at a lot of things, and that is okay. It is great, actually. You need to be bad before you can be good. Do things that scare you. And do them for you, no one else, if you really want to live like a Stoic. Once you get experience, it's easier to focus on what resonates with you, what gives you a sense of accomplishment, and to go after it. You can then lead a good life where you can do some good in the world. Stoicism has these two complementary notions that I think are especially valuable for you graduates. You can only control yourself, not the world around you. Marcus Aurelius writes, "Things have no hold on the soul. They stand there, unmoving, outside it. Disturbance comes only from within, from our own perceptions." What he is saying here is that there are so many factors you can't control. Why let them control you? You are the only person in charge of your thoughts. Do not let them run away from you. You have more power than you know. This idea applies to other people too. There are plenty of negative people out there. Do not let them have power over you. You need to learn when to let go of the people and things that don't serve you. You can't always be in control, and trying to be is a futile effort. It's like trying to fight a hurricane or stop the tides of the ocean. You just won't win. There's so many things in life we have to just accept. But the one thing in your power to control is you and how you respond to these factors outside your control. Epictetus is credited with saying, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You choose your response, and I hope you choose kindness. I say this to students on the first day of school every year, and they groan, but it is true. I wear these silly bee earrings, and I say, "Be kind." Yes, it is a bad pun, but it is still true. Kindness is what you can offer to anyone at any time. It is completely free. You never know the impact of a simple act of kindness will have on someone. It can change a life, it can save a life. As a teacher, I feel as though it is my duty to take some time here to review. What are the lessons of Stoicism, class? Be present, slow down, say yes to opportunities and try new things. Look inside yourself to find the good. Let go of what you can't control and take ownership of what you can control, yourself, and be kind. There was once a hobbit who was charged with a great, seemingly impossible task, much like you all. He did not think that he was up for the job, but in speaking with his wizard friend Gandalf, he received some wise words that I hope resonate with you graduates. Frodo said, "I wish it need not have happened in my time." And Gandalf replied, "So do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." This charge applies to you too, class of 2025. What will you do with the time that you are given? I hope that your time is spent living in the present, being given to the causes and people that matter most to you. Thank you.
I'm your student speaker, Eli. I'm proud to be representing this group of seniors who are resilient, intelligent, bold, brilliant, insightful, terrific, youthful, smart, kind, outstanding, overwhelmingly talented, charismatic, and heroic. Exactly. And so much more. I'm so thankful to be graduating with this cast of staff and students after 4 long years here. During my time here, I've done a lot. I've met teachers and students alike, and had fun at times, and I've even learned things. Kate, our wonderful STEM teacher, has a saying: "Life is a slippery slope, but once you take the derivative, you understand the point." Kate never said that. This year, we're also joined by a few former classmates today. Many of them are close friends of mine, like Luke, Bryce, Maddie, Steffi. We're also joined by my mortal enemy, Mei Waters. Another good friend of mine is Luke Nicewander, who passed away before the start of this school year. So I'd like to ask you all to join me for a moment of silence in his honor. Luke was the wittiest person I've ever met. He was incredibly kind, caring, open-minded, and very, very funny. Luke was willing and motivated to do anything he set his mind to, from 10-mile treks down to Boston, Montreal, to Arabic classes in Lebanon. He was even willing to be a recipient of my nefarious jokes and schemes. One night last year, we were staying up late and annoying Oscar, and I had fake eyelashes in my room for some reason. And Luke volunteered to let us put them on. So we did, and then we wrapped him in a carpet. Luke, he made for a great burrito, but he was also incredibly genuine. Oliverian was a place where Luke could truly be himself, which brings me into a story that I used to listen to when I was a little kid, sitting in my room. It's called The Point by Harry Nilsson. The Point follows the story of Oblio, who is the sole round-headed boy in the land of Point, where all the trees, buildings, animals, and people have points on the tops of their heads. Oblio's mother knit him a pointed cap, but everyone knew he didn't have a point. Due to his appearance, he is an outcast and is rejected by the people of his kingdom. I have been Oblio too. I was born with 2 extra fingers. I was Oblio sitting alone at my lunch table at public school. And I was Oblio as the shy, young, queer kid hiding behind a COVID mask in a dorm full of people far older than I was. In the story, Oblio is taken to trial, but the evil count declares his pointlessness unlawful. He's banished to the pointless forest. We Oblios, especially the ones that end up at Oliverian, know what it's like to be banished too. We end up in the wilderness, treatment centers, and boarding schools. However, when Oblio arrives in the pointless forest, where nobody has ever been, he comes to find that the forest isn't so pointless at all. All the leaves had points, and the branches had points, and the trees had points. For some of us, getting to Oliverian felt like a banishment. My first couple months at Oliverian seemed pointless as I dealt with a harsh tech plan, a whole lot of social struggles, and many unusual and creative attempts at wake-ups by Joshua and Vogel, including the Gummy Bear song, snowballs, vacuums, chairs, and more. But after finding my people, I too found that Oliverian wasn't so pointless. After 2 years here, I chose to leave the community and return home for about 6 months. Unbeknownst to me, I'd banished myself. I spent most of that time miserable, sitting back alone at the tables and at public school or under my sheets, hitting the snooze button over and over and over. I remember Brian saying goodbye to me before I left, and on my way out, he said, "You'll be back." He was right. This brings us to the final point in the story, Oblio's return. Oblio, after his journey through the pointless forest, finally arrives back at the 9th point. The evil count is outraged and says, "What are you doing here? You were banished to the pointless forest." Oblio responds and says, "But we went to the pointless forest, and not only that, it's not pointless at all. The trees were pointed, and leaves and all the branches were pointed, and even the trees were pointed. And not only that, but everyone we met in the entire pointless forest has a point. It's just that it's just like here. And we figured that since everything has a point, then I must have one too." And Oblio takes off his cap, and underneath his hat was a point. That is the end of the story with the point, and also is the end of my speech. And I'm very thankful to everyone at the school for helping me find my point over the last 4 years. I want to give a special thank you to Abby and Vogel for molding the school into such a nourishing place. I'd like to thank all my teachers for such amazing classes. Oscar, Miles, and Bex for fully helping me step into art and music. And the most important member of my support team, the staff Wi-Fi, who's been there with me. We're taking things. That's it. Thank you.